Joffrey Baratheon was one of the most hated characters in the Game of Thrones series, and when this character reached the kingdom and took the crown, everyone expected him to die as soon as possible or that his bad behavior would change.
Oh, my sweet summer child, what do you know?
When Baratheon died and was removed from the show, many Game of Thrones viewers rejoiced and had a good day. After the death of Ramsay Bolton, it became clear that Ramsay Bolton was more hated than Joffrey Baratheon, because according to the polls, he had received the most votes.
Kingdoms, riding their dead horses, hunting with their packs of pale spiders.
I saw what I saw. I saw the White Walkers.
You understand why I did it?
John said he was a deserter.
The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword.
17 years ago, you rode off with Robert Baratheon. You came back a year later with another woman's son.
The famous situation of the sixth season was such that none of the actors had the right to call Jon Snow's name because they wanted to hide his return to life. So instead of calling him by his real name, they used the abbreviation LC, Lord Commander. It is also interesting to know that in the fifth season of Game of Thrones, Jon Snow is betrayed and the Night's Watch managed to kill him.
War coming, Ned. I don't know when, I don't know who we'll be fighting.
His descent is such that his body is hit by the daggers of his friends many times, and virtually every viewer has no doubt that Snow is dead. It was here that the filmmakers decided to tell Jon Snow to lie about his fate and make his death bitter but inevitable. It went so far that one of the actors and friends of Jon Snow in the movie named Sophie Turner wrote him a letter at the end of the fifth season and said that she enjoyed playing with him.
Take your orders and you carry on.
I was also trained to kill my enemies, Your Grace.
As was I.
Does family mean nothing to you? These people will do anything, and that is why we have to stop them.
In the sixth season of the Game of Thrones series, we see Maisie Williams becoming blind. She, who is now unable to see, must protect herself and continue to play her role. Maisie used 16mm contact lenses in the senses where she plays the role of a blind person to be able to perform her role better. She also used special and unique lenses in some sequences where she had to fight, which gave her the ability to recognize so as not to harm the wrong person. Maisie, who plays the role of Arya in the movie, is blinded as punishment after killing a man by Jaqen and Hagar in the sixth season. It should be said that the contact lenses of Maisie Williams caused a lot of problems for her, because she was suffering from dry cornea before, and fitting these lenses made her work difficult and tiring. For example, in one of the sequences, she accidentally hits Faye Marcy. Faye Marcy is the girl who wants to teach Arya.
We've come to a dangerous place. We cannot fight a war amongst ourselves.
An average of 700 costumes were needed for the actors in each episode, so it was one of the most difficult jobs for the costume design department, because they had to hire more staff. The more interesting thing is that after designing the clothes, people were hired to make the new clothes old and believable. Of course, wearing old clothes was mostly used for ordinary people, because they were the ones who often wore old and torn clothes. Otherwise, the kings or those in palace wore neat and clean clothes. With this account, Game of Thrones was responsible for one of the best and most difficult costume designs. Maybe by watching the Game of Thrones series, you have to come to conclusion that in a series with this amount of special effects, they must have made the White Walkers with the same technique. But the reality is something else. To be more precise, these strange characters were actors who, of course, played their roles under clothes and artificial limbs and long-term makeup. The only special effect that is true about White Walkers is their bright blue eyes. The actors playing the White Walkers had to step into the form of these fearsome creatures and behave in a way that both looked majestic and made movements that seemed powerful.
We need to do the same if we're gonna survive.
Unfortunately, the amount of tools that the White Walkers could use to communicate with others was very low, so they tried to play with their facial expressions and body language. The writer of the series believed that Peter Dinklage and Sean Bean were the first and last choices to play Tyrion Lannister and Ned Stark. Many auditions were taken for other Game of Thrones actors, but some of them joined the cast when the pilot episode was done. For example, Michelle Fairley took the role of Catelyn Stark instead of Jennifer Ailey, or Emilia Clarke replaced Tamsin Merchant and took on the role of Daenerys Targaryen.
The white winds blow.
The only ones who were not introduced from the beginning and were permanently returned in their roles was Peter Dinklage and Sean Bean.